Vampires have haunted our nightmares for over a century, but which films truly transcend the genre to become timeless masterpieces? While countless movies have dabbled in the lore of bloodsuckers and eternal darkness, only a select few rise to the level of artistry, cultural impact, and enduring relevance. From eerie silent films to modern satires, the vampire subgenre has evolved dramatically. But the question remains: which stories deserve the title of masterpiece? Let's dive into 10 films that redefined what it means to be a vampire on screen, and explore why they still linger in our minds. But here's where it gets controversial. Not everyone agrees on what makes a film iconic. Is it raw creativity, cultural resonance, or sheer chills? You decide. Sinners, a bold fusion of history and horror. Image via Warner Brothers. Ryan Coogler's Sinners isn't just a box office hit. It's a groundbreaking blend of historical drama and supernatural terror. Set in 1950s Mississippi, the film follows two brothers striding to open a juke joint, only to face a chilling twist when vampires crash their party. What makes this story stand out? It uses the familiar tropes of vampirism to mirror real-world horrors like racism and class struggle. The gory action is undeniably stylish, but the true power lies in its layered storytelling. And this is the part most people miss. The film doesn't just depict vampires as monsters. It frames them as symbols of systemic oppression. Critics have hailed it as a modern classic. But does it earn its place among the greats? Share your thoughts below. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. An Iranian vampire revolution. Image via Kino Lorber. Imagine a black and white vampire film set in Iran, where a skateboarding heroine stalks men in a dystopian city. Anna Lily Amirpour's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night turns genre expectations on their head. By flipping traditional gender roles and power dynamics, the film reimagines vampires as empowered figures, challenging Persian cultural norms. The haunting visuals and poetic pacing evoke classic horror while telling a deeply personal story. Here's a twist: this isn't just a vampire movie. It's a feminist manifesto wrapped in a dreamlike aesthetic. Could this radical approach redefine how we see the genre? Or does it risk alienating audiences unfamiliar with its roots? Let's discuss. Dracula 1931. Bela Lugosi's immortal legacy. Image via Universal Pictures. Long before CGI and modern reboots, Bela Lugosi's Dracula set the gold standard for vampire storytelling. Based on Bram Stoker's novel, but adapted from a stage play, this 1931 film cemented the image of the suave, aristocratic vampire in pop culture. Lugosi's performance, calm, terrifying, and dripping with menace, became the blueprint for decades of vampire portrayals. But was this the pinnacle of the genre? Some argue that its dated effects and dialogue don't hold up today. What do you think? Does Lugosi's legacy still cast a long shadow over modern interpretations? Horror of Dracula, 1958. A colourful reinvention. Image via Hammer Horror. Christopher Lee's Dracula is the stuff of legend. This 1958 film, shot in vibrant colour, modernised the Count with sharper fangs, bloodshot eyes, and a chilling duality between nobility and monstrosity. Peter Cushing's Van Helsing added depth to the battle between good and evil, while Hammer Horror's production values elevated the subgenre. Here's the kicker. This film wasn't even called Dracula in the UK. It was renamed for the US market to avoid confusion with the 1931 classic. Does this strategic rebranding highlight the film's cultural significance? Or does it undermine its original identity? We want to hear your take. Kronos. Guillermo del Toro's poetic debut, Image via October Films. Before Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro crafted Kronos, a vampire story steeped in themes of mortality and obsession. Unlike typical blood-soaked tales, This film explores the cost of eternal life through a mix of horror and dark humor. Del Toro poured his own money into the project, proving that passion can create art. But here's where it gets tricky. How do you balance intimate storytelling with genre conventions? This film's success shows that small budgets don't always mean small ideas. Can you name another underdog vampire film that defied expectations? Vampire, the dreamlike masterpiece you've never seen. Image via Veronique to star film GmbH. Carl Theodor Dreyer's Vampire is a ghostly, nearly plotless film that prioritizes mood over narrative. Released in 1932. It baffled audiences with its slow pacing and surreal imagery, but its reputation has grown over time. Critics now praise its experimental techniques and atmospheric tension. And this is the part most people miss. This film isn't about vampires. It's about the fear of death itself. Should avant-garde storytelling be celebrated in the horror genre, or does it risk alienating viewers? Let's debate. What We Do in the Shadows. Vampires get a comedy makeover. Image via Unison Paladin. Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi's mockumentary What We Do in the Shadows turned vampire cliches into laugh-out-loud moments. By following a group of bumbling, lesser vampires in New Zealand, the film skewers the genre's grandeur while still respecting its roots. But here's the controversy. Can horror parody ever be considered a masterpiece? While fans adore its humor, purists argue it dilutes the genre's gravitas. Where do you stand on this divide? Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992, a Gothic revival, Image via Columbia Pictures. Francis Ford Coppola's lavish adaptation of Dracula brought the Count back to his Gothic roots. Gary Oldman's charismatic performance, coupled with sumptuous visuals and a romantic core, reinvigorated the character for a new generation. Winona Ryder's Mina anchored the story in human vulnerability. But here's the question. Did this film's grandeur overshadow its subtleties? Or did it prove that vampire stories could still captivate with style and substance? Let the right one in, the human side of vampirism. Image via FT. This Swedish film trades fangs for emotional depth, focusing on a bullied boy's bond with a young vampire named Eli. Rather than emphasizing gore, Let the Right One In explores themes of isolation, queerness, and the complexities of friendship. Here's the twist. The vampires aren't the real monsters, the humans are. Does this subversion make the film a masterpiece, or does it lose the horror edge? We'd love to hear your perspective. Nosferatu, the first vampire film that still terrifies. Image via Prana Film. FW. Murnau's Nosferatu 1922 is often called the first vampire movie, though it was an unauthorized adaptation of Dracula. Max Schreck's Count Orlok, with his rodent-like features and creeping menace, became an icon of horror. The film's shadowy visuals and silent storytelling created a timeless dread. But here's the debate. Can a film without dialogue still be a masterpiece? Or does its lack of modern effects make it less impactful today? Share your views in the comments. So, which of these films do you believe deserves the title of masterpiece? Is it the ones that pushed boundaries like Sinners or Vampire, or the ones that stayed true to classic tropes like Dracula 1931? Let us know below, because in the world of vampires, the only thing scarier than the creatures themselves is the power of a great story.